Tonight, from the Estrel Hotel and Convention Center in Berlin, Germany, Boxing After Dark presents the HBO debut of one of the hottest and most talked about prospects in the heavyweight division, the Ukraine's Vitali Klitschko, as he takes on America's Chris Byrd in a heavyweight fight scheduled for 12 rounds. Our first HBO boxing trip to historic Berlin, a city changing as rapidly and as dramatically as any on the face of the globe right now. Here in Berlin, 60 years of European history can be communicated in a single snapshot. The bombed-out Kaiser Wilhelm Church in the middle of the city, surrounded by the bright new architecture and buildings which signify the burgeoning wealth of Germany as it moves into this new era. Hello again, everybody. I'm Jim Lampley. For weeks, we had been telling you that we would be here tonight to show you Vitali Klitschko trying to extend his knockout streak to 28 against Canadian Razor Ruddock. Well, the rather well-worn Ruddock saw himself clear to drop out of this fight 10 days ago with a reported case of hepatitis. And the last-minute substitute is the most elusive and difficult of all heavyweights to fight, the American southpaw Chris Byrd, beaten only once by Nigerian Ike Ibeabuchi. What a change in the context for this fight. What a change in the challenge for Klitschko. Our normal expert commentator Roy Jones Jr. not with us tonight, so once again it'll be myself along with HBO boxing analyst Larry Merchant. Larry, when we thought we were coming here to see Klitschko against Razor Ruddock, we had every expectation that we were going to get on the plane, fly to Berlin, see a round or two of boxing, a quick knockout, and go back to the United States. How is it that the Klitschko people, without any protest, accepted as a last-minute substitute Byrd, who's regarded by some as the most difficult opponent in the division to fight?
90% arrogance, 10% ignorance. And Vitali Klitschko, who looks like something out of a James Bond movie, does have that 100% knockout ratio to give him arrogance. In addition, he has a PhD in sports science, in which, no doubt, he has taken laboratory experiments to confirm that you can run but not hide from him. And when he was asked, which is his better punch, the left or the right, he said, this is a joke. My left puts him in a hospital, my right puts him with God. That's arrogance, or perhaps the joke is on him.
Well, where does the arrogance come from? We told you about the 27 knockouts in 27 fights. There were many who thought that Klitschko was just an Eastern European myth before he went to London last summer, and in the second round of his fight with the nifty Englishman Herbie Hyde, reached Hyde with a barrage of right hands, summarily destroyed him to win the WBO's off-brand version of the heavyweight championship. Now that title, so to speak, is on the line tonight against Byrd. It would be abundantly clear here, given the fact that Klitschko has only been past 6 rounds once in his career in a 9-round knockout over Obed Sullivan, that Byrd is going to try to wear him out, deplete his stamina, and hope that Vitali will more or less knock himself out, as his brother Vladimir did in his one loss to the American journeyman Ross Purity. Can it happen?
Byrd has a little man's arrogance. He believes it can happen. Consider this. After mouthing off that no prominent heavyweight would fight him a year ago, he finally got into the ring with a top 10 heavyweight, Ike Ibeabuchi, and wound up knocked out. Nevertheless, 6 months later, he took an ad in a Las Vegas newspaper declaring that all the heavyweights out there don't want to fight him. He was calling them all out. That's a little man's arrogance. We have an American arrogant fox against a Ukrainian arrogant bear.
All right, and that's part of the contrast we'll be seeing in the fight, some of it communicated in the tail of the tape between Vitali Klitschko and Chris Byrd. Both had expected to be in the 1992 Olympics. Byrd made it for the USA. Klitschko was derailed by a last-minute drug test. And you can see that they are similar in age. There's a 6.5-inch difference in height. Klitschko at 6'8", a full inch taller than the American contender Michael Grant, who will soon face Lennox Lewis. A 5-inch reach advantage for Klitschko. Byrd has surprisingly long arms. And at 244 pounds, with a 34-pound weight advantage, Klitschko is the biggest man that Byrd will ever have been in the ring with. Rules of the bout with our unofficial ringside scorer, Harold Lederman.
The Vitali Klitschko Chris Byrd fight is scheduled for 12 rounds using the unified rules of the Association of Boxing Commissions. There is no standing 8 count, no 3 knockdown rule. Only the referee can stop the fight, and you cannot be saved by the bell at any round, including the 12th and final round. Jim.
All right, thank you, Harold. So now here enters Chris Byrd. Last fight, January 18. Took this fight a week ago Wednesday. Arrived here in Berlin this past Monday. Says he has had difficulty eating German food since he's been here, and believes, Larry, that he's lost 4 or 5 pounds coming into this fight in the past few days.
He needs some good news, and the good news is that, a little unbelievably, there are 3 of the 4 officials tonight are Americans. They originally were chosen as neutrals for a Razor Ruddock, who's from Canada, fight with a Ukrainian. They haven't been changed. So Byrd has a reasonable expectation that if he wins about 10 rounds, he might get the decision.
Just as the Klitschko people blindly accepted Byrd as the last-minute opponent, despite the dramatic change in the competitive context of the fight, so too they blithely stuck with the American officials and didn't protest. Closer look at Chris Byrd.
Chris Byrd was a middleweight in the '92 Olympics, weighed 169 in his first pro fight 7 years ago. His family is in his corner. His father trains him. His brother seconds him. His mother is there as support. And since that knockout by Abeabuchi, he's had 4 KOs.
Larry, there are still a lot of general columnists in the United States who make a part of their living by constantly saying there is no young talent in the heavyweight division. Are they right?
Well, I think any of these guys could emerge as real forces, as popular fighters, because all of them are big punchers.
And apropos of that graphic, if you're watching tonight and tune into our HBO website, www.hbo.com/boxing, you can vote on tonight's question. Which of those 3 young heavyweights has a chance to become an exciting champion? Vote for Michael Grant, Vitali Klitschko, or David Tua. The results will be posted on our website and only on the website. If you live in the Eastern and Central time zone regions, you can participate in a live chat tonight with boxing expert Steve Farhood for 1 hour following the telecast. Now the Klitschko entrance, which is a bigger version, at least bigger in terms of the fighter size, of what Prince Nassim Hamed does for his fights.
But I think he's a little too big, Jim, to come in on a flying carpet. Needs a helicopter. A big, serious, ambitious, dedicated athlete.
Dr. Vitali Klitschko has yet to be truly challenged in his professional career. You saw the statistic, 20 of 27 knockouts within the first 2 rounds. And even when he was stretched to 9 rounds by Obed Sullivan, Sullivan was simply fighting to survive, not to try to win. Closer look now on your first look at Vitali Klitschko.
He is the first fighter we've ever heard of who has earned a PhD. He may also be the first fighter whose father is a full colonel in the Ukrainian Air Force. And his brother Vladimir won the gold medal in '96 when Vitali was sidelined for a year after failing a drug test.
Chris Byrd, like several of those Michigan State Spartans you saw in the Final Four today, hails from Flint, Michigan. 30-1 as a pro, 18 knockouts. 1992 Olympic silver medalist Vitali Klitschko from Kiev in the Ukraine. 27 professional fights, 27 knockout victories. The judges, Melvina, Lathan, and Dr. Ruben Garcia of the United States. Joachim Jacobsen of Germany.
All right. Good luck to both of you. Ready?
There's so clearly a David and Goliath dynamic here, Jim, that you wonder if somehow Chris Byrd can't get the crowd on his side, if he can befuddle and frustrate his opponent as he's wont to do.
Vitali Klitschko cuts such an imposing and dramatic figure in there that as he stood in the ring across from Byrd during those introductions, I looked at the eyes of the media people, the judges, the photographers, and others at ringside, and virtually nobody looked at Byrd, Larry. All eyes are drawn to Klitschko because of the figure he cuts. Now, Ibeabuchi in the early rounds, while losing those rounds to Byrd, got to Byrd's body. Klitschko doesn't throw a lot of body punches, or at least hasn't done so in his previous 27 fights. So one question in my mind is, will he go there, or will he stick with his head hunting, firing the jab, trying to come with the right hand, and perhaps get himself into trouble missing Byrd?
Well, the other thing Ibeabuchi did after a few rounds is he started to try to beat on Byrd anywhere in his body, on his arms, his shoulders, and so on.
You see Klitschko here, toying with the jab, not really firing it. He wants to set up the right hand, and he gets Byrd with the right hand, pins him in the corner, and already Byrd begins to feel the power. That's how he got in trouble against Ibeabuchi. Byrd said to us, I must stay off the ropes. I will stay off the ropes this time.
It's clear that Byrd has already seen that how easy it is to neutralize the jab with his, since he's a southpaw.
A lot of conventional fighters have trouble landing jabs against southpaws. Double the problem if you're facing somebody who is as elusive and has the kind of head movement that Byrd has. Refereeing the fight is Gino Rodriguez of the United States, one of the 3 of 4 American officials mentioned by Larry Merchant. So round 1 becomes a bit of a game of cat and mouse as Klitschko tries to set up a right hand, and Byrd gets a look at him and tries to stay away from the ropes and in the center of the ring. Now Byrd begins his own offensive assault, moving forward for the first time in the bout. When he fought Herbie Hyde in London last summer, Klitschko took a round to size Hyde up and then attacked early in the second round. He's been much more active here against Byrd than he was in that fight against Hyde. The size differential as they get into the corner like that, Larry, is almost frightening.
It looks as though Byrd is trying to chop down a sequoia with a penknife.
As we go to the Klitschko corner, where they speak German, our translator is Cornelius Winter.
Okay, that was a good round. You are controlling. Don't let him come too much. Go sideways. Do provoke a bit, but not too much. Use your left. Use your left. Bam. Use it more. Use your long left. That should work out.
German is one of the 4 languages Klitschko speaks, incidentally. He also speaks Ukrainian, Russian, and English.
You want to spit again?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Good.
In the corner, Klitschko trying to hit anything that moves or stands still. As you can see, there's a part of him that sort of clanks a little bit. He's not a fluid athlete, but he's awfully big and strong.
He will occasionally come underneath with the right hand. Normally, he likes to bring it over the top. His left hook usually travels wide of the target, but it can be effective nevertheless. Byrd wants to jab with the right hand, of course, and then try to land that straight left, particularly as he gets along in rounds. Byrd's feeling was, if he can get into the second half of the fight, Klitschko may tire. And it is a hot night in this arena, Larry. Box numbers in round number 1. Klitschko 11 out of 45, Byrd 6 out of 24.
right hand looked like it hurt Byrd. Apparently it didn't.
Klitschko going to the body, and there's the answer to that question. He will attempt to get to Byrd's ribcage here. Not having been much of a body puncher in the past, but of course, with 20 knockouts in the first 2 rounds, he hasn't often needed to go to that strategy. Nothing mysterious about what Klitschko tries to do. Right hand to the body, Byrd blocking it with the elbow below the ribs. Klitschko trying to set up the right with the left hand, and Byrd constantly catching the left with his own right hand. Catch, catch, catch. Klitschko misses twice. Only the second time in his 28-fight professional career that Klitschko has had to face a southpaw. However, he had 210 amateur fights and then a 5- or 6-year career as a kickboxing champion. So facing different styles is not something he regards as a big problem.
And only in kickboxing has he ever been knocked out by a foot. Maybe the foot was had some brass toes on it.
Many accomplished fighters will come to the fighter meeting with us and claim that they've never been knocked down. Then later, upon research, we'll discover that that isn't entirely the case. Klitschko was totally honest. He said, yes, I got knocked out in a kickboxing fight. I got kicked in the head. I went down and I was out. Getting to Byrd's body as round 2 ends. Saw Chris Byrd as he came back to the corner, turned to us and say he missed.
Get this out. Warm up.
Chris in his corner with his dad, Joe Byrd, and his mother, Rose.
Get his Smith bucket over here, Rose. He gonna try to push you when he get in close, any way he can. So you make sure don't lay on them ropes.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
A big man can fall on you and can hurt you on the ropes, okay?
Use your left-right combination. Punch deeper. Now he's coming. You have to move backward. Punch deeper. That was quite excellent. Go on like that.
Sorry, man.
You got a great close look at Vitali's brother, Vladimir Klitschko, leaning into the shot there as we sat in Klitschko's corner. Vladimir, a heavyweight. You'll see a highlight of him later on tonight with a record of 32-1. Round 3 begins with the pattern which has dominated both of the first 2 rounds. Klitschko pawing with the left hand, Byrd catching it in mid-path with the right. Byrd was openly confident about his chance to take advantage of this big opportunity. Now he finds himself pinned in the corner again. Klitschko tries to go to work with the right. Right hand trying to punch through the guard. Byrd comes back with a left to the body. Against some of his opponents, Klitschko's been able to use his overwhelming strength simply to drive punches through the guard. Byrd will try to use his elusiveness to obviate that.
You know, you get the feeling, Jim, that Byrd is trying to get Klitschko to punch more, throw more leather, tire himself out. But Klitschko is fighting a pretty disciplined, well-paced fight. He hasn't gone wild. The body looks to be the only place that Byrd can reach so far.
And there's a look at the unique elusiveness of Chris Byrd as a heavyweight, adopting positions and body angles in the ring that you just won't see from anybody else in the division.
But it's not enough to make a man miss. You've got to make him pay when he misses. You've got to be less than a safety first and safety second fighter.
Now Byrd's best punch of the fight, a right hand that lands flush to Klitschko's chin. Byrd has knocked out bigger men after first frustrating them and exhausting them and perhaps breaking down their will. Jimmy Thunder in Connecticut, the classic case in point, and now Byrd mounting more offense in round 3 than has been the case up to this point. Klitschko not yet as aggressive at this stage of the fight as Ibeabuchi was able to be in Tacoma. Once again, Ibeabuchi, the better, more accomplished body puncher. Quickly now, let's look ahead to some upcoming sports programs here on HBO.
For boxing, mark these dates on your calendar. April 15, when Fernando Vargas defends his junior middleweight crown against Ike Quartey. May 6th for the premiere of KO Nation, a new boxing series unlike anything you've ever seen before. And then on May 13th, Roy Jones, boxing's best pound-for-pound fighter, defends his light heavyweight titles. Also featured, middleweight champion Bernard Hopkins taking on Brian Barbosa. HBO, the heart and soul of boxing. Real Sports with Bryant Gumbel premieres on April 10th. Among the stories featured, Tom Osborne for Congress, a look at Nebraska's legendary and former head football coach as we follow him on the campaign trail for Nebraska's upcoming primary. And then on April 17th, Sports of the 20th Century presents Bill Russell, My Life, My Way, a documentary which explores the life, philosophies, and principles of one of the most compelling figures ever to play the game of basketball.
Byrd says he likes to make a big man look stupid. It gives him a rush.
And
so far, he hasn't had the rush.
As round 4 begins, CompuBox numbers getting slightly more encouraging for Byrd, who landed 6 out of 17 power punches in the last round, 6 out of 22 for Klitschko. Harold Lederman, how'd you score through the first 3?
Okay, Jim, I got it 30-27, 3-0 Vitali Klitschko. He's landed the biggest shots in winning the rounds, but in round 3, Chris Byrd started to show a little offense, you know, really taking it to Klitschko, maybe getting him a little bit frustrated. But Jim, I'll tell you something, this advertising outside the ring is really bothering Chris Byrd. Every time he goes to the ropes, his shoe hits that advertising. It's very typical in Europe, and they really should get rid of it.
At the end of the last round, Chris Byrd's brother Patrick looked over at me and said things are going okay. So apparently the Byrd family feeling is that the plan has a chance of working out. There's Klitschko trying to fire the right hand right up through the guard, and Byrd tries to retaliate immediately with the left. If Klitschko occasionally looks awkward against Chris Byrd, the expectation is that most heavyweights would. Byrd said, after I lost to Ibeabuchi, I thought lots of guys would want to fight me. It didn't turn out to be the case. He even went so far as to buy an advertisement in the Las Vegas Review-Journal during the week of the Lewis Holyfield match in Las Vegas last fall, asking for quality opponents to fight him. The only response, Jorge Luis Gonzalez. Not what he was looking for.
He is a master of escapology. But can you beat a guy in his hometown that way?
Second right hand landed flush for Klitschko. But he's having to try to aim those right hands instead of really unleashing them. Now there's another right hand. Byrd takes it pretty well.
Yeah, I was surprised how well he took that punch because that was a clean right hand.
Klitschko lands one to the body. Byrd's chin holding up pretty well. Klitschko landing 2 more clean punches, a right and a left. Byrd looping over the top, and Klitschko coming up underneath with the right hand. The ticklish part of the plan clearly for Byrd. He's got to be offensive enough. He's got to attack enough to keep Klitschko from just setting his feet and firing away.
He's still in a little bit. You know, when you get in there, you got to run off series of punches. Okay?
Yeah, but he's leaning that way. Tip him off.
Yeah, but you got to figure him out.
You got to figure him out.
You got to figure him out. You got to get in a series of punches there. Don't let him tie you up.
Just spit, just spit. No, give me water to spit.
Okay, now listen. Listen here. You stand a little too much in front of him.
Okay.
Take him in a circle and get his feet crossed up. You got to take him in a circle. Good right hand right there. Byrd seemed to handle it pretty well.
Let's go. Check it out. Let's go, let's go.
But in round 4, Byrd threw just 28 punches by CompuBox numbers. He's only averaging 25 per round. He's going to have to step up the punch output, or at least to expect so, if he's going to win enough rounds in the second half of the fight to have a chance to take home a victory. Byrd believes that with a victory here tonight, he can gain back what he lost in the Abeabuchi fight last year. As for Klitschko, who might not have proven much with a knockout of the well-worn Razor Ruddock, a victory over Byrd would open a lot of eyes in the States.
Although you never look good against Byrd, win or lose. This is not a sterling performance unless he ends it with a knockout. You can't say that Vitali Klitschko looks like some unbeatable monster.
No, indeed, if he has to scrape his way to a 12-round decision here, as many of us thought was the likely case once Byrd became the opponent, then that'll diminish Klitschko. The 27 knockout streak will go away. Hard left hand by Byrd.
Now there, Byrd did what he's supposed to do. He made him miss, and he made him pay.
You heard Byrd's dad telling him, you've got to move in a circle, and you've got to figure him out. Translation, you got to throw more punches. And now Byrd is doing it. Double left hand, and the second one landed well. And there are a fair number of Byrd rooters in the crowd. He said to us in the meeting yesterday, after a while, I'll win the crowd over. Well, of course, David's always going to have some rooters against Goliath.
You also have to remember, Jim, that Russians or former Russians are not the favorite people of Berliners.
Of course, Klitschko might say, Russians aren't the favorite people of Ukrainians either.
Well, I was in a cab the other day with a lady cab driver, and she said she thought Klitschko was an arrogant Russian.
Once again, he makes Klitschko miss and then fires back. Best round yet for Chris Byrd. Whether that means the fight is changing in his direction remains to be seen. But a Byrd rally punctuates the round, and he raises his arms to generate more crowd support as he goes back to his corner.
Here we see how Byrd uses that escapology, but he doesn't always come out of it punching. He fights big men like the middleweight he once was. And on this occasion, he does come back after a miss.
Degrees. Hold that. Okay, now let's keep him busy. Keep him backing up. He can't punch going back with power.
He's trying to leave that right hand. Let's go, check us out. Let's go, Chris, let's go.
You may have heard Chris Byrd's father say he can't fight backing up, And Byrd said back to him, you try to land that right hand going backward. So he knows it. Can he stay on the attack, be effective, and not get hit by a big punch?
Meanwhile, in Klitschko's corner, his German trainer, Fitz Spooner, asked him to use more combinations and just to try to land punches, not to try to land with such overwhelming force. Spooner apparently believing that Klitschko is trying to hit the home run when maybe a single or a double will do.
Well, Jim, it's like going up against a knuckleball pitcher. You want to hit the ball into the bleachers every time, and that's why big sluggers strike out on those kinds of pitches.
And almost here, George Foreman saying, just land the punch. Just make contact. Don't put everything you have into it. That's what Klitschko's trainer was asking him to do. It's a good thing for Vitali that he's as fluent in languages as he is, because while Spooner, his trainer, speaks to him in German, his brother Vladimir simultaneously speaks to him in Russian. Round 6 of what is becoming an interesting heavyweight fight in Berlin, Germany, between the towering Vitali Klitschko and the bouncy, elusive, obstreperous Chris Byrd. Here's an example of what Spooner asked for. Just land the punch.
Yeah, he's made
the right hand.
He's made a good adjustment to what happened to him in the last round.
Chris Byrd's protected cup is loosening in the back. May or may not become a distraction for him, but it could cause a delay at some point.
Look it up. Let's go. Get back, get back, get back, get back, get back.
Chris Byrd landed half his punches in the 5th round. In the 6th round, as Larry pointed out, Klitschko making a good adjustment and regaining his momentum in the fight. But it looks like this one just might go the distance. And that would change Klitschko's bargaining power and his market position in the heavyweight division. We are in Berlin tonight with a look at Potsdamer Platz. During the 20s, the busiest crossroads in all of Europe. Today, one of the most active building areas in the world, in this city, festooned with cranes and huge construction machinery. There's as much new building going on here as probably anywhere else in the world, as Berlin becomes an entirely different place than has been the case before in the 20th century.
Okay?
Your punches are too low. Be careful. Look what Byrd is doing. Okay, good punches. Keep it calm. Keep it easy. Is that hurting? Okay. Keep a distance. Provoke him. Let him come.
Okay?
And then answer with a good combination.
Yep, you're right. Okay. Let's go. Second
Let's
out.
go now.
Well, as we've told you at the beginning of the evening, last year, Ross Purity, an American veteran, took on Klitschko's little brother, Vladimir, a heavyweight with a record of 32-1. He exhausted Vladimir and rocked him in a late round, and Vladimir's trainer jumped into the ring and grabbed his fighter, stopping the fight. So that's the only professional loss for either Klitschko. Byrd trying to repeat that same pattern here. Harold, how do you have it through 6?
Okay, Jim. 59-55, 5 rounds to 1. Vitali Klitschko. In round 6, he definitely won the round. He kept catching Chris Byrd as Chris moved in. Round 5 was a good Chris Byrd round. But Jim, I'm going to tell you something. The judges. They're calling time for the tape. Gino Rodriguez is going to make him tighten up that tape.
I told you this. I told you this was going to happen.
But Jim, the judges definitely see Vitali Klitschko sucking air. His mouth is wide open. He's definitely starting to tire. He tired in round 6. So this fight could turn.
And this is not incidentally for the protective cuff, as I had suggested, but rather for the tape around the glove. A delay at this point, probably good for Klitschko for the reason that Harold just described.
You know, when we spoke to Klitschko about his PhD in sports science, we asked him about this notion that a big man has problem with stamina. And he refused to go for it, said it depends on how you train, whether you pace yourself in the fight, and so on. Well, he's in the laboratory right now to prove it one way or the other.
27 previous fights. Vitali Klitschko has been to the 6th round once and went to the 9th round against Obed Sullivan. Chris Byrd has had 14 fights in his career of greater than 6 rounds. So we're moving into an area of the fight with which Byrd is considerably more familiar. And now Klitschko makes Byrd miss with the left hand. Klitschko connecting to this point in the fight at a rate of about 25%. Against all previous opponents, he connected at around a 47% rate. So Byrd's elusiveness, a big factor in the fight so far. And if you're wondering about the difference between Byrd against the big puncher last year, Ibeabuchi, and against Klitschko this year, one obvious change. Ibeabuchi's just quicker than Klitschko has been able to be here.
You have the strange sight of David coming forward and Goliath going backward.
You also have to wonder at what point does Klitschko perhaps become frustrated.
Pick up his trunk some, pick up his trunk some, right? Not too high, not too high.
Open my cup up a little bit.
Take a deep breath, let out slow. You still letting him catch you with 2 minutes.
One more drink.
2 minutes.
Quick.
Necessary with punching.
Okay, move Vitali and slip his punches. That was quite a good round. Take a breathe. Drink a bit. Open your mouth. What's that? Okay. You're controlling. Keep a distance with your left.
Okay?
Seconds out, let's go.
Everything okay? Okay. Go for it.
Dr. Vitali Klitschko, PhD in sports sciences from Kiev University. First lieutenant in the Ukrainian Air Force, 4th generation military man. Taking on Chris Byrd, who was raised to fight by his father, Joe Byrd, who used to set his sons up in an 8-foot square indoor gym in their home in Flint, Michigan. One of Byrd's advisors, John Hornauer, came in here tonight, took a look at the small ring and said, well, I guess they didn't know that Chris grew up in an 8-foot ring. And it was there in the 8-foot ring in his house that Byrd learned to be invisible while standing still. The Burnell Whitaker of heavyweights, in effect, a man who can stand right in front of you and never be found by a significant bump. That's what he's trying to be against one of the biggest punchers in the sport here tonight.
But he's throwing his punches tentatively. He's not trying to put any serious hurt on Klitschko. He's just hoping, as we said earlier, Jim, that Klitschko will knock himself out.
Klitschko lands with a left hook. Byrd comes back with 2 lefts of his own. Klitschko, you can almost see him trying to aim his punches now. Rare body shot from Klitschko. More of those, I think, would help him a lot. Manages to find Byrd's head with a sort of half-speed right hand. Now a harder right hand. Byrd comes back with the left. Again, Klitschko to the body, and this time a big right hand, and Byrd comes back with a double left of his own. Klitschko finding the target just a little bit more often now.
But you know, he's doing something pretty smart, Klitschko. He's not trying to punch through the target because it's too hard to do that with Byrd. He's punching at the target and piling up points. If the knockout comes, it comes.
Do you think there are some sophisticates in the sport, Larry, who would give him just as much credit for an intelligent, well thought out decision victory over Byrd as for another big knockout?
I doubt it.
I do too. Let's join us April 10th for the premiere of Real Sports with Brian Gumbel. One of the stories featured female high school wrestler Kristen LaBelle. She not only qualified for the state finals, but did so by wrestling against boys in the 102-pound division. Real Sports, where nothing is out of bounds. One of the things we've noticed about the German crowd is they are considerably quieter through much of the evening than is the case with American sports crowds of the same size.
Right hand followed by a counter left hand by Byrd. But Byrd just has nothing behind those punches. He's going to have to hope that Klitschko is exhausted and will go down from one of those feather dusters.
Meanwhile, Klitschko threw 81 punches in the 8th round to only 39 for Byrd. And unless Byrd were a big power puncher, which he's not, it would be difficult for him to win rounds throwing half as many punches as his opponent. But of course, 2 of the 3 judges from the United States. So while you might say, oh, Byrd's up against it, going to Berlin to fight Klitschko on what amounts at this point to his home turf, remember that it is Byrd who has the advantage of having 2 of 3 judges and the referee from his own nationality. Great right hand lands for Klitschko. And a harder right hand for Klitschko. Byrd kind of shaking his head as if to say, you can't hurt me. But Byrd not firing back as Klitschko targets and targets. And now there's the left hand by Byrd with shocking effect.
I think it shocked the crowd. I'm not sure it shocked Klitschko.
I think that's what I meant, too. I think Klitschko knows what's coming at this point. Translator Cornelius Winter telling us now that Klitschko's trainer has said Klitschko's left hand is hurt and he can't use it to the full extent. But he's still using it and throwing it, and it's the right hand that does the big damage most of the time anyway. Crowd gets excited as Byrd mounts a rally, firing 3 punches in combination.
That was Byrd's best series of punches about 10 seconds ago. He was flat-footed. Good series to the head and the body.
Byrd trying to gull Klitschko into believing that he had hurt him with the right hand, and now Byrd exciting the crowd by landing back in counter, and Klitschko fires a left hook and then comes back with 3 rights, and Byrd stands against the ropes, which he told us he wouldn't do. And there's another right hand landing for Klitschko, and Byrd fires back with a left of his own. Crowd loves what Byrd is doing. Klitschko minding his business in there. Byrd misses with the left, and Klitschko with a glancing right hand. gone 10. So having gotten through the 9th round, that assures us of the longest tour of duty of Vitali Klitschko's professional career.
Okay, take it easy, take it easy. Is it hurting?
It's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay. It's vorbei.
Okay, it's over. We are giving up. It hurts too much. No, it's okay. Don't worry.
Wait a minute.
They're stopping it. They are. That's exactly what Cornelius Winter just told us.
I can't believe what I've just seen.
Vitali Klitschko elects not to go on with his left hand apparently too damaged to continue. And Chris Byrd gets a victory. Chris Byrd, taking a fight on 10 days' notice, retrieves a portion of what he lost last year against Ike Ibeabuchi. Vitali Klitschko stunningly and mysteriously dropping out of a fight in which he appeared headed toward an easy victory.
He doesn't have the mentality of a champion. I can hardly believe what I just saw. You have a bad hand, so what?
I couldn't believe my ears when I heard interpreter Cornelius Winter repeating what he heard out of Klitschko's corner, but indeed, it was a perfect interpretation. He was exactly right. Klitschko and his team deciding not to go forward. Incredible.
I've never seen anything like that, Jim. I'm speechless, really. All he had to do
was survive 2 more rounds.
I mean, he's way, way ahead. All he had to do was stand in there for a few rounds, play defense, and win the fight.
We will see the judges' scorecards very shortly and give you an idea of how Klitschko stood in the fight. Right now, let's go to ring announcer Götz Otto for the official particulars on the stunning victory for Chris Byrd.
Ladies and gentlemen, the official decision. The new heavyweight champion of the WBA is Chris Byrd.
There's a buzz at ringside indicating that Vitali Klitschko may have entered this fight with an injured shoulder. There's Tracy Byrd. It's almost indescribable what's taking place here. You got to look at the tears in the eyes of Chris Byrd's wife, Tracy, overcome with joy and excitement at the gift which has just been given to her husband. And of course, you heard the ring announcer describing Byrd as a title holder, the WBO title. Now Klitschko speaking to the crowd.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am terribly sorry. I am giving up, but I'm going to get back my belt. My shoulder is hurting too much.
Let's take a CompuBox profile look at a very strange fight. Overall numbers, Klitschko landing only 8 more punches than Byrd while throwing 218 more. The difference in connect percentage follows from there. Total power punches, Byrd landing more than half his power shots, 82 out of 163, and perhaps that contributed to Klitschko's frustration as the fight continued. Now Larry with the winner, Chris Byrd.
All right, Chris, congratulations. What do you think happened at the end of the fight?
I guess his shoulder went out, but I was coming on. You know, I really wanted it. I felt he was outboxing me a bit, but I just kept coming, and I wanted it. I pursued it.
You think that your activity toward the later rounds is what discouraged him in some way?
Yeah. I mean, I fought against Russia 11 times in the amateurs. And the last 3 times I won, and I stopped 2 of them, and I kept coming, and they quit. So I'm not saying he don't have a big heart, but hey, I think he was up on the scorecards, man. It was close. I keep fighting. I mean, I fought Ike with separated ribs, and nobody knew about it. And you criticized me, so you know you call me less than a man.
All right, do you feel that from your experience that the Russians and the Eastern Europeans in general have a different mentality about fighting hurt?
Oh, no, I'm just saying the ones I fought. I mean, Konstanzu, I love him. I fought with him in the amateur. He got a big heart. He keep taking it and keep winning and lost one. But, you know, he's a Russian, and the European guys can take it. I mean, he just quit on Sue for some reason. If it was me, if it's the other way around, I'm fighting Ninja. I don't care.
What does this mean to you?
Oh, it means a lot. I mean, I can get more fights now. And I'm telling all the heavyweights, they don't want to fight me. I mean, this guy is a 6'8" boxing guy. Guys like Lewis and Michael Grant, they coming straight ahead. I make them miss all day. I frustrated big man. That's why he started getting on his toes. And then I'm 210 pounds, and I start walking him down. What kind of stuff is that? He's 235 pounds, 6'8". That's crazy. Throw it to the bite, throw it to the head. I want it. And I represent Christ. That's why. The power.
What do you think's happening back in Flint when they see this?
They going crazy, but Michigan State got to do it. You know, hope they won tonight, and then they win the title, and I won the title. So bring on all the heavyweights. Like I always said, I'll fight any heavyweight in the world anytime. Look I'm in Berlin. I lost 8 pounds since I've been here. I'm 210-pound heavyweight. Blowing up super middle, and nobody don't want to fight me. Bring them. This is for Dave Lesage, who passed away.
Thank you very much, and congratulations again, Chris Byrd. Jim?
What a personal reversal. 10 days ago, Chris Byrd was still in the darker reaches of the heavyweight division, preparing to fight Adolfo Washington for $25,000. Now let's go to Larry Merchant with Vitali Klitschko.
Vitali, what happened?
Я прошу прощения у всех моих болельщиков в Германии, на Украине. Но так получилось, что я не мог провести этот поединок. После 3-го раунда у меня очень сильно болела левая рука против левши. Я не могу боксировать с одной правой. И с каждым раундом боль усиливалась, и я отказался от проведения поединка.
I want to say sorry to all my fans in Germany and the United States. After the 3rd round, I had a problem and I couldn't withstand southpaw.
What was the problem? Did you come into this fight with an injury?
Вы пошли в борьбе с повреждением?
Это старая травма, повреждения не было, а теперь я снова получил.
No, there was no injury. There was an old injury, but it didn't inflict on the fight.
Was your hand hurt?
Ваша рука была, может быть, повреждена?
Мое плечо.
Ваша рука, он спрашивает.
Мое плечо.
No, it was the shoulder.
And was this a previous injury, or did he get it during the fight?
Это было старое повреждение, или вы получили это в ходе боя?
Я получил в ходе поединка.
It was in the fight.
You seem to be way ahead in the fight. That all you had to do was survive till the end of the 12th round to win the fight. Why would you give up your title in those circumstances?
Было такое впечатление, что вы были вперед, в принципе, а вы должны были просто до 12-го раунда продолжать бой. Почему так получилось, что это не было возможно?
Я не мог с каждым раундом, я не мог продолжать поединок.
I couldn't in every round win enough points.
So you thought you were behind in the fight?
Вы думаете, что вы были назад, да, по очкам?
Нет. Я вел этот поединок. Я выйду здоровым в ринг, и я верну мой титул.
I will come back into the ring sound, and I will win back my title.
Shouldn't a prize fighter be able to fight when he's hurt?
Боксер не должен тоже боксовать, если он получил повреждение.
Я хочу провести бой нормально, а не получить травму и закончить со спортом. Лучше восстановиться, проиграть один бой, вернуться и выиграть. Или заключить со спортом навсегда.
I don't want to fight and get an injury and not be able to fight anymore. I want to be able to go back into the ring and fight.
Thank you very much, Vitali.
Sorry.
Back to you, Jim.
Vitali Klitschko refusing to acknowledge the point, but it remains. All he needed to do was stand up for 3 more rounds. He wouldn't have had to throw another punch to win the fight, as the judges had it 88-83, 89-82, 88-83, all for Klitschko. Our unofficial ringside scorer, Harold Lederman, also had Klitschko winning 88-83. And joining me now at ringside, Larry Merchant. Larry, you said toward the end that you had never seen anything like this, but now I have to remind you that just a few months ago, we saw Andrew Galata, coincidentally, or perhaps not so coincidentally, another product of the Eastern European socialist sports training regime, quit under similar circumstances against Michael Grant. So we have seen something sort of like this before.
Well, Galata was ahead in 3 fights that he found a way to lose, but he was getting punished by big men in both of those fights. Ruddock Bowe in the first 2 when he was disqualified for low blows, and Michael Grant, who knocked him down. We didn't see anything tonight that looked anything like that. He was never punished in this fight. Certainly Chris Byrd deserves credit for being a little bit more aggressive than we saw him against Abe Abuchi, for being professional about how he went about his work. Even he was in some discomfort because of coming over here and not eating the proper foods, etc. And he stayed in there. That's the first duty of a real professional fighter, and certainly of a champion. Maybe the difference, Jim, is that Klitschko got his PhD in sports science from a university instead of from the School of Hard Knocks.
Does Byrd gain a new foothold in the division as the result of this kind of a win?
He gains some kind of a foothold. He'll make some money, and that's good. He's a good kid. He tries hard. He's a little guy trying to go up against the giants and so forth and so on. But, I mean, overall, I didn't think it was a very impressive performance by him. It's great that he won the fight and so on. But I don't think he's a serious factor among the serious heavyweights out there.
Incidentally, the WBO, the organization for which Byrd now holds a world title, lists as its #1 contender a fellow named Mike Tyson, the supposed mandatory challenger, and we don't expect to see that fight. Incidentally, we told you earlier that we would show you a look at Vitali Klitschko's younger brother Vladimir, the 1996 Olympic gold medalist in the super heavyweight division. This is his recent knockout victory in a rematch against the guy he beat for the gold medal.
A much more fluid fighter than his brother, but like his brother in his only defeat, he had some adversity and he said, good night, I'll see you next time. I don't get it.
Both of them will have something to prove as they go back to work in the future. Well, this was just the beginning of a big month of boxing on our 3 Time Warner boxing channels. So let's look ahead now to the upcoming fights on HBO's World Championship Boxing, Boxing After Dark, TVKO, and KO Nation.
Coming up this month, HBO and TVKO combine to bring you 2 exciting title bouts showcasing 4 of the top fighters in the world. On April 15, Fernando Vargas defends his junior middleweight title against former welterweight champion Ike Quartey.
Fernando Vargas, at 21 years old, is a world champ.
In a division exploding with talent, 154-pound champ Vargas searches for the defining fight which could catapult his career toward greatness. A win might set up a future unification bout with Felix Trinidad. For Cuarte, it's been 14 months since his razor-thin defeat against Oscar De La Hoya. The African warrior once again attempts to upset a rising superstar, this time one weight class farther north.
Obviously, this fight is a step to the next level. It's a mega fight. It's a signature fight for me. You know, I live and I sleep and I think about Cuarte. I'm ready for a tough fight, but you know, Cuarte better be ready for one too.
Yeah, he's young, inexperienced. He hasn't fought nobody. He hasn't been to a war.
The round robin is beginning, much as it was in the 80s with the great welterweights there, and it's great for boxing. It's great for them because of what they can gain.
This fight is against a true Aztec warrior against a true African warrior. We'll see what warrior stands up at the end.
Vargas versus Cuarte, April 15 on HBO. 2 weeks later, 13 feet and 500 fighting pounds collide when Lennox Lewis defends the unified heavyweight title against Michael Grant.
I'm confident to tell you that I'm going to knock him out. I'm confident to tell you that the fight definitely won't go the distance. I don't think he can come against me in any fashion, whether it's speed, movement, or power. I rate superior.
The Michael Grant fight will see a new, aggressive Lennox Lewis, I think, unlike we've seen in many fights.
Grant is an imposing physical specimen, 6 feet 7 inches, 250 pounds. Factor in his dangerous right hand and some possible Lewis overconfidence, and it could add up to one thing, a new heavyweight champion.
I don't think his fuel is fierce enough. I don't think the determination is there enough. But I know for April 29th, he will have a lot to worry about.
Mike come over to my house. He say, D, they dissing me, man. I said, well, he say, I might kill this guy in the ring. He said, because they just disrespected me and I don't like it.
The Battle of the Giants happens April 29 at Madison Square Garden, live on TVKO pay-per-view from HBO. When May rolls around, get ready for something different. The premiere of HBO's rocking new boxing series, KO Nation.
Quite a month of boxing. Larry, your comments first on Vargas Cuarte.
Vargas had a near-death experience against the underrated Winky Wright. He claimed it was because of distractions from his family problems, etc. He's got to prove that that was true.
Lewis Grant, the heavyweight championship fight on TVKO.
Jim, there are no young Americans out there who can carry forward the great American tradition of heavyweights except Michael Grant. Can he bring the heavyweight championship back to America?
And our new telecast here at HBO, KO Nation. You were promoting the show with your T-shirt at the last Boxing After Dark show. Tell us all about it.
We hope that the shows will be as good as the T-shirt, Jim. It's important in trying to stimulate interest in boxing among young people, and also in filling the weekend afternoon vacuum that has existed for a number of years, which was once an important part of the food chain in boxing, in developing and showing and building followings for fighters.
Part of the attraction, of course, just when you think you've seen everything in this sport, you get a night like tonight. We'll have a final word on what happened here in the ring in just a moment. Right now, let's look ahead to some upcoming programs here on HBO.